Hi, folks. Matt Noyes, Monday Insights, the deep dive into meteorology. Two things we're going to do. The first thing is going to be a deep dive into the Connecticut rain that happened on Sunday, August 18th. The second thing will be the deep dive on the forecast. So if you're not interested in the Connecticut rain, you might just want to scrub forward in the video. But I want to show you how this all came together. It was incredible, right? So you look at the axis of rainfall across Southwest Connecticut. It was falling heavily in the morning on Sunday. It continued to fall heavily into a good portion of the day. Radar estimates just outside of Seymour, Connecticut, about 14.3 inches of rain. Big, long axis of 8 inches or greater that came down across southwestern and west central portions of the state, resulting in multiple road washouts, rescues that were being performed both on cars that were stranded in the water, campgrounds, homes, restaurants, you name it. There was a lot of water, and this resulted in some real significant damage. So you look at this and say there was 10 inches of measured rain in Newtown. Middlebury picked up just under that. The radar estimates, as you just saw, were higher than that in some spots. Now, like all weather, it's local, right? So you hear about a 500 to 1,000 year return period. What does that mean? That you'd only get this much rain every 1,000 years or every 500 years. That's true in a couple of spots, right, where the heaviest rain came down. What's remarkable about these events is you might be 3 towns over and you're still waiting on your 500 to 1,000 year rain event. You didn't necessarily get it out of that, but nonetheless, epic rainfall totals in some spots, and now it's waterlogged ground, and that always makes us a little bit more prone to flash flooding, only because the ground can't hold anymore when it comes down. But what came together to put this thing into motion, right? When you analyze the atmospheric moisture during the day on Sunday, what I've done here is I've really colored in red where you've got that deep moisture. Now, obviously, you got a ton with Ernesto offshore. But this axis of moisture, you'll notice it kind of stops right at southwest Connecticut and southeast New York. But you follow that back down, and where does it come from? The Gulf of Mexico. It actually has earlier beginnings than just yesterday, though. It was during last week that this moisture had pooled up into the south central and southeastern United States. It was sitting and waiting to be used, and indeed it was, as it was carried up the coastline and it encountered slightly cooler air here in New England. It was that clash that allowed all that moisture to quite literally come to a head and crank out. You say, was there any indication this might have happened? From 2 days out, no, not really. It looked like New York would be under the gun. What was interesting is in our overnight run on Saturday night, so about 1 o'clock in the morning is when this is all our proprietary but experimental stuff. We're still working on it. Nonetheless, look at that, 9.79 inches. You say, where was that? It's actually just over the border in southeast New York. So did it nail it to the spot? No. But notice the large area of oranges that you have here. That was a 4 to 5-inch rain event that was predicted again in the overnight leading into Sunday. So this would have been very short notice here. And at the same time, again, really from 2 days out, you didn't see those indications. So what has that left us with now? What that's left us with now is a ground that's waterlogged in Connecticut and easy to flood. You see a large area today that has isolated flash flood potential. I covered this in the 1 Degree Outside Today video in Noyce's Notes. It's on our homepage, onedegreeoutside.com. In the coming days, it looks like tomorrow there'll probably be a bit of a break in the action. Atmospheric energy in yellow and orange and red. There is a break tomorrow. We don't expect there to be a lot in the way of showers and storms, but notice the new energy. Remarkable kind of amounts of energy that start coming down so that Wednesday and Thursday, this jet stream disturbance, we call it an upper level low or an upper level storm, is right overhead. So you say, are we going to get showers and storms every day this week if there's that kind of energy over us every day this week? I don't think so. And I want to show you why, because going back to the amount of overall atmospheric moisture that we have, this time green being saturated air, you can see that as we get into the day Tuesday, we begin to make the transition. Now, Tuesday is that little break in the action between energy anyway. But by the time we get to Wednesday, there probably will be a scattered shower or storm that comes out of all the energy overhead. But Thursday, maybe not. We'll see. Maybe not. There could be something isolated, but notice how much the moisture in the atmosphere has come down by the end of the week. By the way, you're going to feel that, and I'll show you the 14-day dew point forecast in just a minute. There's the break that I mentioned for Tuesday for most of us, not if you watch us from Maine or from far northern New Hampshire, although by evening, most of you will have also dried out. There's a lot of clouds tomorrow, and there's actually a northerly wind, so it's going to stay somewhat cool for us overall. We get into Wednesday, there's the showers and storms, scattered stuff popping up under that jet stream disturbance. Thursday, as I mentioned, I can't tell you there'd be nothing. There may be a pop-up shower, but I don't think it's going to be widespread because the dry air starts to take over, and that dry air really is in place by the time we get to Friday and the upcoming weekend. By the way, nothing to mention of Ernesto, right? Ernesto is chugging along and still forecast to move southeast of Newfoundland, and there is an elevated chance that the southeast tip of Newfoundland picks up tropical storm force winds with a bit of wind damage on the northwest side of the storm, but thankfully the brunt of the storm certainly appears as though it's going to continue to stay out over the ocean. In terms of what it's done for our waves and what's coming up in the days ahead, look, our waves are still elevated today. Talked about that in the Today video where you've got rip currents going on, right? As we get into Tuesday, still you've got an elevated bump out on the sea, but notice the deeper into the week that we get, even if there are going to be some scattered showers and storms, for example, on Wednesday, doesn't have a whole lot of impact on the seas. They continue to come down as Ernesto's impact continues to move away. And by the time we get to Thursday, you're back to a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 foot sea all the way across the fertile fishing grounds of the Canadian Maritimes. It looks to be the case into Friday as well. So things definitely get better for productivity on the water the deeper into the week that we get. Again, I mentioned tomorrow you got kind of a northerly wind, so notice the temperature staying down. Some of us don't even make 70 tomorrow. So a lot of clouds and maybe some breaks of sun, because remember, we've got this break in the action without a whole lot of precipitation for most of us. And look how cool it gets Tuesday night. This is that new air I was talking about, right? Some of us have not been in the 40s for months, but you've got a chance to do that in eastern New York and northwestern New England on Tuesday night. Wednesday, look, you get bubble up clouds, you get bubble up scattered showers and thunder with that jet stream disturbance overhead. We're talking about temperatures probably held at about 70, 75. Thursday, you're still at about 70 to 75. Friday, yeah, we start to build back because remember, we get the drier air, so you get a little bit more sun, no precipitation, temperatures up near 80 degrees. But I have to tell you, I look at that and say, should I be closing up the pool? We have a pool with no heater. It's an above ground pool. And I look at it and I say, this water's down to 65. The kids don't even want to go in it anymore. When you look at the 14-day, it's not going to get much better this week. But admittedly, maybe there is a saving grace for something like that, because next week it does look like we get back into the 80s, at least in the first part of the week. Which brings me to the dew point forecast. So many of you love to see this. This was by request. So many of you asked for it that we started including it regularly. That drop in dew point that starts tomorrow continues through the rest of the week, and then does admittedly build back up as the temperatures go back into the 80s getting into next week. A reminder, you can always track the showers and storms with the radar tab. I recommend Past Plus Future on that, but nonetheless, grab Noyes' 1 Degree Outside weather app on the App Store or Google Play. I hope this deep dive into the meteorology of things has actually been something you find interesting. I always love bringing it to you. Look forward to seeing you again coming up later on in the day.